What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. I'm once again joined by Tyler. In this video, we wanted to address something major that came up in the Kingdom Hearts ReMind is a Disgrace video, which is the comparison to the final mix and really remixes in general of past Kingdom Hearts games versus ReMind. We got a lot of obvious negativity. One thing I do want to say, I'm going to hand over, here's kind of a roadmap where this video is going. Tyler's going to explain what were in these versions, the remix, the final mix of Kingdom Hearts 2. We're going to be going over what was actually included in all of these different bundles to specifically say why, firstly, they were not the same. Now, before I do that, I do want to make one thing clear, just my own personal opinion. I also don't even agree, and I've said this in comments of that video, all of these bundles, all of these variations, I'm not a fan of. I don't even think, Tyler can speak for himself, but I know in my own personal opinion, having these versions constantly come out, PS3, PS4, different combinations, different variations of putting these games together, I'm not a fan. So all of the people that said in the last video that we are like supporting that but not supporting ReMind, I've never supported it. I'm not a fan of paying the $60 over and over to get different bundles of different things or different remasters. So I'm not a fan of that, but we do want to address that even though I'm not a fan of it, I think those are actually better still than ReMind. So we're going to be going over it. Another final thing I should say, just our opinions. You have a right to disagree. You have a right to your own opinion. At the same time, we don't need to go attacking and getting nasty. And also, we're just presenting facts, factual things, and voicing our opinions of why, one, we're not a fan of ReMind, and two, these two situations, these two scenarios that a lot of people brought up are absolutely not the same. So, Tyler, do you want to talk about Kingdom Hearts 2's final mix? And also, we can even get into the remixes and talk about how none of them are the same as ReMind.
Before I start, this is very important for everyone to understand. Final mix is a different word for saying remaster. And we all know what a remaster is. A remaster is, the best example I can give you is The Last of Us, because that was a very popular one. You have The Last of Us, it was released on PS3, and then a year later, you have The Last of Us Remastered, and that comes out on PS4, and they updated the visuals throughout the entire game. There was a couple other things that they added, and you also had that little DLC scenario called The Last of Us Left Behind. So you got the exact same base game that they updated, plus that extra DLC that was available on PS3 as well. That is what a remaster is. That is what Final Mix is. And in a second, I'm going to explain to you what was in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, so that way we can then compare what was in Final Mix and then what was in ReMind and how they really are not comparable whatsoever. I'm going to try to break this down very, very quickly, briefly, and I just follow along with us because it is important. For those that think Final Mix is no different than ReMind, it just simply is not. And there's a couple things that you may have forgotten, and in fact, we did ourselves. So here we go. So 2005, Kingdom Hearts 2 released worldwide. 2007, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix Plus was released in Japan only. What was in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix Plus? You got Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, and you also got Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories. In 2007, we got Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, but that was a Japan exclusive. It never came to the United States. When did it come to the United States? It came to the United States in 2014 in Kingdom Hearts 2.5 HD Remix. Now, what did that contain? That had Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, Birth by Sleep Final Mix, and recoded all the scenes from Recoded. So that's what you got in 2014 if you purchased that, that Kingdom Hearts game. So why does that matter? That means after 9 years after Kingdom Hearts 2 launched in the United States, we finally got Final Mix. Now, what was in Final Mix? Final Mix, there's a lot of stuff. I'm not going to name it all, but here's what's important. It contained a new area in the Radiant Gardens that led you to the Data boss battles where you were able to fight all 13 organization members, which included the organization members that were in Chain of Memories. You got to fight for the very first time Roxas as Sora during that Roxas Sora scene. After you beat him, you got a new Keyblade. There's also so 2 Keyblades total, one for beating Roxas, another for basically doing all those, the Organization 13 mushrooms, those little mini games. So 2 new Keyblades in there. There was additional scenes, actually a number of scenes. that had to do with Naminé, Roxas, Riku, Ansem, the Wise, number of scenes all in the actual game. As you're playing the game, you're experiencing these new scenes where they take place, which is very, very different with ReMind, where on ReMind it's a totally separate menu. You click ReMind, and then you start it, and then they have 4 scenes all bunched in the front, and it goes from Luxord and Xigbar, which takes place at the end of the Hercules, after you beat the Hercules world. Then you get young Xehanort and the Master of Masters, and then it says 75 years later, where you have Master Xehanort explaining how he got all of his organization, 13 members, and then it shows you the original ending to Kingdom Hearts 3, and then it adds, to that, like when Sora goes off, where does he go? Okay, this is that scene, and now we start a ReMind. That's how it works for ReMind. Those scenes are not integrated into the Kingdom Hearts 3. If you're somebody who bought Kingdom Hearts 3 right now, you never had it before, if you buy Kingdom Hearts 3 right now and you play Kingdom Hearts 3 and you buy ReMind, those new additional scenes that they added will not be in ReMind. After you beat the Hercules world, you will not see that scene that contains, Luxord questioning Xigbar. You will not see that. That will not be there. At the beginning of the game, where it should be, you will not see Master Xehanort explaining how he got his new organization. That will not be there. That will only be separate forever after you beat Kingdom Hearts 3, and then you go to play ReMind. Then you will see that bunch of scenes. That's it. That's how that works. Now back to Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. What else did they do? On top of the additional scenes, the 2 new Keyblades, the new area in Radiant Garden, the data boss battles, they also changed the color palettes for the Heartless. They added a new drive form called Limit Form, and they updated the visuals of Kingdom Hearts 2. Now, so that's all the content that was in Final Mix. Again, actually, there was more. Again, there was more weapons for Donald, and there was new weapons for Goofy as well, on top of a lot of other things. Theater mode, they added critical mode, and more. So that was what you got on Final Mix. Now, the difference between Final Mix and ReMind is this. For ReMind, that was an expansion that's supposed to expand on the story after the fact. And does it do that? It does, but really, does it? Because here's the difference. With ReMind, you just replay that Keyblade Graveyard scenario. You just replay the final battle. In Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, there is no replaying of anything. It's all part of the game. They literally took the regular Kingdom Hearts 2 game and expanded it. They enhanced it with new scenes, new visuals. They added things here and there. They actually changed things in all of the worlds. Halloween Town, you got the Christmas costumes. That was totally new. So they redid all of Kingdom Hearts 2. They added a lot of new things. They added that Sora Roxas battle. That was a new boss battle in there. They added all of that. That was all in the game. None of it was locked behind anything. You did not have to beat Kingdom Hearts 2 to unlock any of the Final Mix, new additions. Where in ReMind, you have to beat Kingdom Hearts 3 to be able to use anything in ReMind. And you might say, well, yeah, that's obvious. Well, it isn't, because why would photo mode be something that you have to pay for? If photo mode was in Final Mix, you would have been able to use that literally as soon as you boot up the game. That would not be locked behind. You have to beat that new, the new scenario that you replayed. That's the exact same thing as the end. Essentially, it would be like if you had to refight Xemnas from the end of Kingdom Hearts 2. That final battle with Xemnas. If you had to redo that entire scenario, and then after you redo that entire scenario, after you just did it, now you get photo mode. That's how ReMind works. Now you get the data boss battles. That's how ReMind works. That's not how Final Mix works. It's all one large package. Now, if you're somebody who got Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix or that 2.5, it's because you wanted to be able to experience for the very first time Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. You wanted to be able to play Birth by Sleep because maybe you didn't have a PSP. You wanted to be able to play it on your PS3. So you're getting a lot of content there for almost the exact same price as ReMind. Where really, are you getting content? Yeah, you're getting content. Are you getting a lot of content? No, not really, because how can you say that you're getting a lot of content when you're just simply replaying what you already played? In Final Mix, it was new to be able to fight Roxas. It was new to be able to do those data boss battles. In ReMind, the data boss battles, is that a nice addition? Yes. Did I want data boss battles? Yes. But here's the thing. I didn't want to have to refight all of the Organization 13 members that are in the data boss battles after I just fought all the Organization 13 members. Essentially, if you're playing the base game, if you're that person who just bought Kingdom Hearts 3 for the very first time and you beat it, you just fought the Organization 13 in the Keyblade Graveyard, and now you go to boot up ReMind. You're now playing the exact same end of Kingdom Hearts 3, and you're fighting all of those Organization 13 members again. And now you unlock the data boss battles, and who do you fight? You fight the Organization 13 members that you just fought 2 times before that yet again. That is nowhere near comparable to Final Mix, because why? Because it was all built into the game. As you're playing, you're seeing everything unfold. Not at the end. Again, very important to remember. When you bought Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, or, it was really Kingdom Hearts 2.5 HD Remix, when you bought that, you knew that you were going to be replaying the game. All of us knew that, because it was understood this is a remaster. There's new scenes, they updated the visuals, it's on a new console. It's just all brand new stuff that I'm going to experience for the very first time. Everybody knew that they were going to be replaying that entire game. In ReMind, they never told us, hey, just so you all know, you're going to literally be replaying the last hour and a half of Kingdom Hearts 3. That was never, ever stated. Ever. That is not what an expansion DLC is, and that's what this was called. A paid expansion downloadable content. Because it expands on the story. Well, it does, but the way that it does it is the problem. The way that it does it is it expands on the story by having us replay what we already did. They did not have to do it that way. That was lazy. To have look, we already all know, we already fought Terranort, we already fought Anti-Aqua, we already fought that secret boss in Kingdom Hearts 3 Darkness Inferno, we already did the Keyblade Graveyard experience. Why are we doing it again? And you might say, well, it's because they wanted us to play as the other characters. They could have let you do that in the data boss battles, so you can do it whenever you want. They did not need to let you do that again, where you had to redo that exact same scene to make it a little bit different. And if they really wanted you to play as those characters, they would have not given you the option to even play as Sora, because I guarantee you there's some people who still play that scenario as Sora, where it's exactly the same. So that's the difference between ReMind and Final Mix. Yes, there are new features. The problem is it's locked. Photo mode is locked. Data boss battles are locked. The secret boss, again, all of these you paid for. You paid for photo mode. You paid for data boss battles. You paid to be able to change the settings. You paid for that new secret boss, that limit cut episode, all locked behind replaying that final battle yet again. In Final Mix, nothing is locked behind anything. You play the game, and as you're playing, things are happening. Things are unlocking as you play. It's all very seamless. You never know. That is literally completely different than what we get in ReMind.
I totally agree. And again, just to end this, I do want to very much echo Tyler's. The main thing for me, again, while I'm not a huge fan of adding 1.5 and 2.5 together. I'm not a big fan of doing it again. I'm not a big fan of the story so far. Like that kind of stuff, that does tick me off in the first place. But to defend them in a way, just like Tyler said in the beginning and end of what he said, the biggest thing I want to drive home is you knew you were getting it, okay? Any remastered game ever, and I get it, it's not called remastered, but any remastered game, you expect it to be. Anybody who buys a game that's a remaster that doesn't expect to replay the game is a lunatic. So you know what to expect. And beyond that, for all the people saying Final Mix, I'm not sure if they're just shortening it for Remix. You could never buy Kingdom Hearts 2 or Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix. Those games never existed. They were only ever part of a bigger package. So even if you're talking about that, you're still getting more than one game firstly. And again, you know you're getting that game because it's literally called Kingdom Hearts 2. It's doing it again. This one, I guess you could say it's called Kingdom Hearts 3 ReMind, so it's maybe close, but this is a paid DLC a year later. If they wanted to do a Game of the Year edition, and that's the final thing I'll say, I did see some people say that, you know that within another year, they're going to bundle Kingdom Hearts 3 and ReMind together, and let me tell you, that'll be the stupidest bundle I've ever seen, because what Tyler just said, putting them together, and the fact that you replay the same thing like 3 times in all, especially those 13 boss battles, you're going to be putting that in one bundle, and then they're going to probably add that and have the whole Xehanort saga all together. So we're not even done with the recycling of stuff. I just want to make people aware, but here's the deal with that. I'll be less mad of that than I am with ReMind, because ReMind is a $30 paid expansion. It is not a remaster. It is not a Game of the Year edition a year later. It's expanding upon the story a year later. It's supposed to give us new things a year later. It's not a Game of the Year edition. And nobody expected that going into it. The difference is you expected new things with this ReMind, which you didn't get. You got an hour of new stuff. And if you're talking about gameplay specifically, you got boss battles. You got 13 boss battles that are just more difficult versions of the ones you've already played. That is what you paid $30 for a year later. The difference going into a remaster game, any of the remixes, even the 2.8, any of that kind of stuff, most of them you're going in because you know it's the same game again. It's on a new system. Maybe you've never played one of those, the side games, Dream Drop or Recoded or Birth by Sleep. Maybe you've never played those. That is why you get those games. So they are completely different. So guys, let us know in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'm sure there's going to be people that disagree, but truthfully, and we're saying this from the bottom of our hearts, let us know in a peaceful, in a more constructive way, why you disagree. We can have a discussion. We can, talk about that you guys don't agree, and here's how you see it. Totally cool. It's fine that you guys don't agree with us, but let's have a constructive talk about why it seems like we're not on the same page. Also, for those that agree with us, thank you very much. So guys, thanks so much for watching. We have more Kingdom Hearts videos coming up. There are going to be more theories. I think we're done with our rants from now. I think Tyler and I got out of our system. So we're going to have more theories videos over the next couple days, and we hope to see you guys there.